What is up, ROC Podcast Nation? Woo! Back in the house at ROC headquarters on a beautiful spring day. I'm telling you, Ryan, it couldn't be better outside. I'm loving it. Air conditioning is working as it should, firing all cylinders. It's an amazing ride, buddy. And I'm just so happy to be back, bringing the viewpoint of Right of Center out to you guys. ROC Podcast Nation, you know that without you, there is no us. So we are thankful for everything that you do, thankful to continue to come back and lend an ear to what we have to say. You can find me anywhere, all social media platforms at Real Mike Bell, my co-host over here,
Ryan R. Gas.
That's right, guys. Make sure you find us. Make sure you're checking out the Facebook page, the new Facebook group, Right of Center, Conservative America, and just do your thing, guys. As you know, let's get this out of the way real quick. The show, and the soundboard and the YouTube channel, which if you haven't checked out yet, get over there and check it out, is sponsored by ptpgun.com. It's a premier firearms instruction company in the Mid-Atlantic, and it is owned by our very own Ryan Gass. So support those that support us. Head on over there to ptpgun.com and fire away.
And if you haven't done so already, find our new YouTube channel. We just made some quick changes, but it is ROC Podcast Nation. Get on there, hit the subscribe button, and watch some great-ass content. You know what my son says? So I got a 9-year-old, and everybody listening right now probably knows like the new craze is YouTube, right? You got all these YouTube sensations, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but I want to get it out of the way now. My son started this little YouTube channel. It's just him doing dumb shit, and he's like, he heard somewhere, and one of his taglines at the end of the episode, or the beginning of the episode, was like, "Make sure to smash that subscribe button and hit the notification button to make your mama's phone go ding," right? Because he's like talking to a bunch of kids, right? Yeah.
I rolled on the floor freaking laughing. It was a complete ROFL moment.
What's his YouTube channel called?
Oh, I'm not going to put that out yet. But I did share it, and this is the power of social media, guys, and this is why we continue to ask you guys to share. One of our founding members keeps talking shit to us because we clown on Facebook and the social media censoring, but as of now, it's really the largest and the best platform we have. We are looking into Parler as soon as they develop an app for that and get it off the website. We'll probably get into that. MeWe was a bust. We're not there. I actively am on Clubhouse now, so if you're an iPhone user, there'll be some links. You go find me on Clubhouse. I do some chats there once in a while. But the thing about it is this, guys. In some of my Facebook groups, my fathering together and different groups like that, I posted in there, I said, hey, if y'all want to work together and make my son be the happiest kid, in the world, why don't you head over and subscribe to his YouTube channel? And sure enough, there was like 30 or 40 people from those groups went over and subscribed before they got pulled down because the freaking commie admins in them groups said no self-promotion. And I'm like, I'm not self-promoting. I'm trying to help my kid out here. You know what I mean? He's not monetizing you, but whatever. I understand laws are laws, but conservative, right of center, conservative America, there are no rules. Come on over there, say what you got to say. All right. But come prepared because you got me on the other end that's going to call you out if you post some BS. Real quick, guys, this episode today, we have a special guest in studio. He's very close to me, Mike Bell Sr. So everyone, ROC Nation, give your best to Mike Bell. Please, sir, introduce yourself.
I wish you would have called me sir when you're younger years. You don't. I like it. Yeah. Now, hey, so Mike Bell here, or Michael Bell. Born in California, raised in Texas. And lived in Maryland, Southern Maryland, probably for the last, 33 years. So this is home to me. Raised my family here. Have a lot of connections. Mr. Ryan Gass here, one of your co-hosts, and we've known each other, him and his family, for a long time. So really enjoy the area. Had a Navy background, and then went to work for a big aerospace company, and still work there today for a couple more years until I call it quits and move into retirement or something else. But that's where I'm at, and just pleased to be on the show with you two. Proud of both of you. Got to put that out there, and the grandson, because you mentioned that. And I will also give a shout out to my daughter-in-law, who just fed me tonight, gave me dinner. So
oh yeah.
Hey,
so, props to her, right?
Yes, thank you. delicious meal.
So first of all, we are super blessed to have you come on the show with us. You, as you know, we just recorded, and there's a soon to come out episode on ROC exclusive that also features Mike Bell Sr. That we talk about some really cool stuff over there. If you're not aware of what that is, just head over to the website rockpodcastnation.com. If you want access to the exclusive content right now, it's free for a week. You just sign up and you get access to all of that stuff. And then our lowest rate's like $10 a month. It really is like a cup of coffee a week. You get to help support us and our mission, which does align with the right of center narrative. But we thank you for coming on the show, Mr. Bell. And you know what, guys, I'm just going to call you Dad. All right, that's just because that's who you are.
Best.
So how do you, so this is ROC Podcast Nation, but ROC is right of center. And Ryan and I are advocates of the message of the right of center, the underrepresented middle American right of center person. Dad, where do you align? Do you find yourself, you identify yourself politically?
Yeah, so I would say I probably in about the same space you guys are in. In some areas, I'm pretty hard right. Other areas, I'm more towards center, and there's a couple areas that I lean towards left. Yeah, I'm all over the place, but I would have to say predominantly right of center.
So Dad has, as he mentioned, he's been a dominating force in mine and my co-host Ryan's life. And a lot of the values we have and a lot of our upbringing, of course, is attributed to his wisdom. And anytime we get a chance to talk, it's always good stuff. And it was really a no-brainer to bring him on the show to help share some of his wisdom with ROC Podcast Nation, guys. So we hope you enjoy that. As you were talking about some different ways that you identify, real quick, excuse me, ROC Nation. So at kind of the intro episode, Ryan and I kind of both talked about how we identify, and yes, we are collectively right of center. What pulls me further to the right often, Dad, is, I'm a fiscal conservative. I've talked about it in many episodes. I want to be very involved in the appropriation, Congress's and the government's appropriation of the funds, right? Because Congress doesn't make money, they take money, right? The only money that they have to spend is something that they've taken from us. So what pulls me right is the fiscal conservatism. And I try to be as smart as I can when it comes to how those dollars are being allocated out. And, I think a lot of that I've learned, from you over the years is, be smart with your money, and things like that. So what I'd really like to talk to you about tonight, if you're available here and this is what you want to get down the rabbit hole on, is what we've seen over the past, COVID cycle here is what we're going to call it, right? So you got like before Christ, and then after COVID, right? It's kind of, we're in that after COVID time frame here. We've seen the government funnel in trillions of dollars into the economy, right? Through, and what's ironic about that is we have to classify that as the global economy, because so much of the money that they've allocated has gone outside of this country. But let's just keep it local here, right? They have allocated over the course of 3 bills nearly $6 trillion, which is at the time was more than the national deficit under Bill Clinton, I believe. Right, I think his national deficit coming out of office was right around $7 trillion, and it's more than tripled since then. But that's a big swing. That's a lot of freaking money, and we wouldn't be doing our job at ROC Podcast Nation if we weren't talking about the way that the government's spending money. And I know that you and I have had some conversations offline about that. What do you think, man? Do you think it's first of all, you just hit me on that. What do you think about the government just continuously flowing money into the economy?
It's interesting because you work all your life, try to save money, and invest in the, and make investments in a way that position yourself so you can, you can live live a good life after you quit working. Mm-hmm. And when you see these sort of dollars start flowing out and you look at what you've got in your checkbook or savings account, it kind of minimalizes it. You say, oh my gosh, and then you see that, and then you see the inflation that's happening or is going to happen because of the amount of money that's out there. And you think, well, is my dollar going to go as far as I had planned for it to go when I'm 80 years old, right?
Right.
So I'm pushing 60 now. You know, is my retirement that I have planned for and saved uh, for many years, is it going to sustain me if the economy, if the U.S. economy is, you know, if a gallon of gas is $10 when I'm 80 years old, will I be able to pay for it with what I've planned and saved for? But anyway, you know, when I look at all of this, and I start going down these rabbit holes, and I think we probably all do, but you know, and I look at and I think about the economy, and I've had conversations with Mike, I've had conversations with Ryan and others in the family, and I think about, okay, so how do we get here? And you know, the U.S. used to be on a gold standard, and pre World War II, we were on a gold standard. Obviously, during the war, we kind of switched things, or you know, prior to the war, I don't know what date that was, but we started measuring the country's wealth on our gross domestic product, GDP, right? Everybody kind of knows what that is. And for many, many, many years, our GDP backed our dollar. And then and it still does today. And then right after that, right after about the war, World War II ended, you know, the entire, because all the other countries' currency wasn't worth anything. You know, you think about the losers of the war, Germany, Japan, and others, Italy, and then you think about the countries that were devastated, all of Europe. Their currency wasn't worth anything. So the only currency that was worth anything was the U.S. dollar. So every country, including, you know, China, Russia, everybody said, okay, so what is the most stable currency that we have? Well, the dollar is. And it became the world's currency. And I think a lot of people don't realize that today. It's still that way. There's some countries that are trying to get away from it, but for the most part, every dollar that is spent in an international transaction, every transaction internationally, it's the dollar that's transacted. So goes the dollar, so goes the way of the world. Right. I don't think a lot of people realize that. So thinking about it in those terms, when you think about, you know, who's the number one debt holder of the United States debt, it's Chinese. Do we really need to worry about a country that if we fail, they fail, or if they fail, we fail? Right. That's the way I look at it. You know, all right, that we're so connected economically.
Right. What you're saying is if the United States were to go down, China would go down with us.
Exactly.
Just by default, because the way that our currencies are saddled at the hip based on their ownership of a large percentage of our debt.
Exactly. And the rest of the world, right? So in reality, and where I'm getting at here is that if the entire world economy is based on the value of the dollar, and basically it is, you know, then the value of the dollar doesn't really mean. Think of it this way: it's inconsequential on what that dollar does.
That's true,
right? So when you look at the U.S. debt, you brought it up. It's about $28 trillion.
Yep.
The GDP for the country, and I don't have the facts and figures in front of me.
I can pull it up right now,
but I know it's not a lot more than that, and we're the largest economy in the world. So if you got a GDP of $28 trillion, the
GDP in 2020, it decreased 2.3% based on COVID stuff, right? It decreased to a level of 20.9 trillion, compared with an increase of 4% in the year before that.
So
the GDP to debt ratio. Please continue. I'll go ahead and pull that up.
So when you look at that, we owe more money than we bring in annually, and I think there were some numbers out there for us to pay the debt down or off. Every household in the United States would have to pay like $50,000. Every single person in the United States would have to pay like $50,000 to pay that off. So how do you, if your economy is based on your gross domestic product, the income derived of that, How do you want that ratio to change? If you're at a minus number right now, an annual minus number, and you want to get to a positive number, how do you change it?
You
What do
put more
think?
money into the economy.
And you cut your spending.
Well, now hold on. If you want to artificially make it look like your GDP has gone up, because that's the value of all of your goods and stuff like that manufactured in the United States and stuff. What you want to do is, I would say artificially, you could pump more money into the economy. People start spending more money and stimulate growth. But the way to do it organically would be to invest in manufacturing and your exports.
So riddle me this. Okay. So if you think about it, if you could drive that gross domestic product up to $40 trillion a year.
Yeah, it'd be 1.2% of the national debt.
If you could drive that up, right, in good numbers, if you drove that up to whatever number you that's the engineer coming out in them. But if you drove that up to a much higher number than the GDP,
in the national debt.
The national debt, I'm sorry, the national debt will look smaller, almost palatable, right? Oh, well, hey, that's only half of our GDP.
We could pay it off in 2 years.
So how do you get there? How do you get there? Well, Mike Bell Sr.'s opinion on this is, well, if you inflate the value of everything and then also inflate people's wages, so the person that's making
Oh, yes, here we go. We're getting to the nitty gritty, Rock Nation. That's what I'm talking about.
So if the person that makes 100,000, the person that makes 50,000 makes 100,000 a year, or 75,000, the person that makes $7 an hour is now making $15 an hour. So that person that's making $15 an hour is now making 23, and it snowballs. So everybody's is making more money, so they can afford to pay more for the goods that are being sold. Your housing, as we're seeing across the country, is skyrocketing 25, 30%.
30%.
So if you sold the same amount of houses in 2020 as you did in 2021, say you sold $10 trillion worth of houses, well, it went up 30%. You just add another $3 trillion in your housing market.
Your GDP type stuff, yeah.
Your GDP goes up. So how do you? My opinion is that it's all connected. Whether it's the minimum wage increase, inflation, the GDP, your consumer price index, and your debt. I think there are some very smart economists out there that are trying to buy our way out of
debt.
That's my opinion.
That is some sound reasoning right there. That's a good question, Ryan. Is it sustainable? And I would argue that it's probably not, but I like what you're getting at here.
It's sustainable as long as the U.S. dollar is the world's currency. It's not sustainable. You would be a Greece or somebody else, or
their currency fell apart. Yeah,
you would be if it's your own currency and it's not valued by any other nation. But since your currency is the world's currency, it's what's piped through the World Bank.
The standard.
The standard doesn't really matter what it does. You're in control of it. I say it's worth this.
Yeah, that's right.
So we can talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about it. And that's diabolical. And thank you for bringing that up, man. Well, you look at it and it's true. And another factor there, though, Dad, would be we couldn't take on more debt, right? We would have to stop. We would have to freeze the debt, the borrowing, right? In order to overcome the national debt in such a way, if there was a model that predicted based on this wage increase, this amount of inflation, which would increase the value of our goods, which would increase the GDP to a level greater 1.2% or whatever over our national debt, then we could predict that within 5 years, we would work our way out of debt.
Who cares what the national debt is?
That is the driver. Nobody should be focused on it. But why are we focused on it? Why are we raising?
We're only focused on it for when you want to politicize it. You only focus on the GDP. You only focus on the national debt when somebody wants to bring it up as hey, this has got a problem and I'm the solution.
That's right. And
they politicize it.
And with the inflation, what we've seen, and Ryan and I went extensively into the $15 minimum wage thing. It's strategic, right? There is something at play right here where it is all connected, Dad, and I think you hit it. If we could get more money into the economy by paying people more money, you're going to make a lot more people happy, right? Everyone's going to be happy to have more money
For a while
until the inflation of the goods catches up, and then you realize that you really
do it again.
You really haven't seen any kind of growth there, right? But you have those spurts of incentivized spending.
Transient times.
Yes, transient times, right?
Yeah.
That's an engineering word for you. Well, I guess it's not, but it is. But yeah, you have those areas where and those of you that aren't on the YouTube channel, you can't see what I'm doing with my hands right now, but you have those areas where the slope, the growth of the income, the spending outpaces the inflation of the product. And eventually it hits, right? There's an inflection point there where they intersect. And then you do it again, right? So the cost of the goods continues to rise at the cost of the wage. What that does is it overhypes the value of the GDP. And then eventually it's cyclical, but why do we care about the national debt at that point?
Let me ask you this. We talked earlier on another show about COVID, and one of the results of COVID was the stimulus package, and what you brought up. So who's to say that pumping those dollars out into the economy, giving it away, obviously just giving away tons of money to a lot of people that didn't need it, right? And a lot of people, St. Mary's County, very few people were unemployed. But every St. Mary's County, Maryland, very few people were unemployed. I only had one person out of, I've got 7 kids, and 6 of them gainfully employed. 5 of them gainfully employed. 1 of them more or less lost their job. And their spouses gainfully employed. And then I'd call Ron. Ron's like a son to me in some ways, and he was gainfully employed. Matter of fact, it probably helped his business in some ways.
Yeah.
So, but yet everybody got stimulus checks.
That's right.
So in any case, so if you're throwing all that money out there, it's a net. So are we throwing a COVID conspiracy out here? Is it another way that you could throw a bunch of money into the economy to help balance your GDP and your CPI and your debt? So
I could see the dotted line connections.
Could
there.
they
Yeah,
have
it kinda makes
said?
sense.
Could they have said, "Oh, how can we throwing $6 trillion in the economy, giving it to people who don't really need it, and to benefit us, so our debt and our GDP and all these other things kind of fit in line." I would bet there are some smart people out there that are.
They thought about this
connecting.
15 months ago.
Yes.
We're just 15 months
I don't know
behind.
if they thought about it 15 months ago, but again, I don't have my finger on the pulse, I guess, as much as I want to when it comes to the other, the global. You know what, guys, we're going to go down a conspiracy rabbit hole here.
Nice.
So real quick, guys, thank you for subscribing. Be sure to let your friends know that you're listening to the Rock Podcast Nation. Find us everywhere at Rock Podcast Nation, and make sure to head over to the website. Do what you can there to help pledge your support the show, support us, so we can help continue the message. But another thing that happened about a little over a year ago. So everyone's aware of. I'm taking a major right turn here, but I promise you, it's a slope. It's going to come back and intersect the conversation that we're just
Like my
having.
family
Okay?
tree.
Yeah, like your family tree, right? You are Southern Maryland born and bred, aren't you?
How many first cousins did you have, Ryan?
I kissed a couple.
I called your wife, right? No.
Oh, shit.
So another thing that happened that has been happening about a year ago, right, was this, and it's been going on for about the past decade or whatever, but in the past year, a year ago, you had these ramps in cryptocurrency, right? You saw that shit flying. What is crypto? What is crypto? First of all, crypto is a threat to the United States dollar, right? Crypto maybe, right? Depends on if it's backed by the dollar or not, or what it's backed by. If it's backed by consumer confidence, which is what it is, and if it's backed by a utility, which is what it is, then, well, I see you shaking your head there. Those of you on the YouTube channel, make sure you head over to YouTube and check us out. Let me go down my rabbit hole here, and then if I dig myself too deep, Dad, you can pull me out. All right?
Okay.
What if All right, so we saw that, and again, this is making the assumption that COVID was staged, which likely it wasn't. But what if, right? We saw what was happening with cryptocurrency. You had, if we just look at XRP Ripple, right, which isn't Bitcoin, it's not attached to
Or
that.
Ethereum or anything.
Yeah, Ethereum or anything like that. We're looking at XRP. Dad, I know you're familiar with this coin, so am I. If you look at what happened there, it started to grow pretty quickly, and you had several countries, not mom and pop shops, not ptpgun.com, right? Not anybody we know, right? Affiliated with that. We have countries, South Korea and other countries that are using it as the currency to transfer money back and forth. Yeah, I see that the value of the currency is associated with the dollar or whatever, but it's the fastest way to move money between countries.
Transaction times.
Yeah, your transaction times are seconds as opposed to, I think it takes 3 days to send money from United States to Australia, something like that.
Our Federal Reserves.
Yeah, right, because it's got to ping all those different spots, and there's all those people taking a percentage of the money, and it costs money to move money and all this other stuff, right? There's all of this stuff. Well, if you follow what happened with XRP over the past 12 months, right, what you see is that it started to pick up some decent growth. It was growing pretty consistently. I mean, you could plot the slope. It was increasing. And then, like, the COVID thing happened. I think a lot of people pumped money into crypto right around that between March and April timeframe, when a lot of people dropped stocks and then bought back in. But then recently what we saw, Dad, is that court case, right? Where they're calling Ripple into court, the federal court, to charge them with whatever the hell they're charging them with. And what they're doing is they're making the case that the currency isn't associated with the company, right? That the currency is a means of transferring dollars. It's not associated with the company at all. So there is no insider trading. There's none of that going on, right? And that's all happening at a time where
Only on the one crypto, though.
only on the one on that one crypto, because it is so widely adopted, in my opinion. All right. And others' opinions than mine as well. But I wonder if there's something at work there too. Like, why all of a sudden, why pick one crypto out of the hundreds that are out there to levy a lawsuit against? And my assumption is that they're trying to establish some kind of case law that cryptocurrency can't be governed as a commodity. And that's what they're trying to do.
So I'm not an expert on this in any which way, shape, or means. We've got a relative that knows this pretty well inside and out. But I think, first of all, cryptocurrency, I had a hard time understanding really what it is. And it took me some time to figure it out. But I think I got it. And I think I've told you before, crypto in my mind is just a stock. And all you're doing is you're taking your dollars and you're buying a coin. I believe that's what they're called. And you're buying a coin, and it's a stock. More or less, it's a stock. And you're saying, okay, I'm going to trade stocks back and forth to buy that. At some point, that stock continues to either increase or decrease in value, just like a stock on the New York Stock Exchange, on the Dow. It goes up and down. Well, that stock can be traded to buy goods or services elsewhere. Not everywhere is adopted it, but you can use it to buy goods or services elsewhere. And so really, you're trading stocks to buy something. At some point, if you want to take your money out, you bought that stock with currency,
with dollars.
With dollars. You would sell that stock to get your currency back out. So in reality, in my mind, crypto is just a stock that can be easily traded. We know, and I personally know this because it happened to me probably 15 or so years ago. I was kind of a day trader, a little bit. Didn't do a lot of it, but did enough where I found out the hard way because I got a letter from the SEC that said stop, where I was trading too often. And what they meant by too often was, as Mike alluded to earlier, the way dollars are moved throughout the country, and I think more or less throughout the world, but it has to ping in these different locations. And each one of those pings, banks borrow money from the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve at one location. If you're buying something, you live on the East Coast, you're going to buy something on the West Coast. The money that you bought or borrowed is issued from the Federal Reserve from the East Coast. It's got to make its way to the West Coast to get deposited in that Federal Reserve before it's considered a transaction. And they're saying that takes 3 days. Crypto is instant. It's instant, and the better the currency, the more transactions it can accommodate in a given period of time. And it just so happens the crypto Mike's talking about is one of the fastest ones that available. However, there is a market cap on it, and the issue, and this isn't a finance show, but the issue with that particular one, I believe, is like you alluded to. They determined SEC jumped in and said, "Hey, look, you are trading this stock."
They're acting as if it's a commodity, and the way that you explained it makes it look like it's a commodity, but really it's a utility.
Well,
right. I mean,
a commodity is
it's like goods and gold and
right.
pork and wheat and all that other stuff.
Right. So in any case, I can link this back into our prior conversation, right? So how are you able to help the United States economically by switching to a dollar-backed crypto? Well, you can do that, obviously, by substantially increasing the amount of times you can use it.
That's right.
So is it good for the United States?
Increase the frequency.
Yeah, it's good for the United States as long as the crypto is backed by the dollar. So Bitcoin, which a lot of people know about and hear about, it's the one it's almost impossible to buy because it's like $52,000 a share. Yeah. So it holds its own value, but most people can't use it as a trading mechanism because it's too expensive.
Well, not only that, it doesn't have the utility, right?
Doesn't have the utility. And again, I'm not an expert in any of this, but these lower valued cryptocurrencies, the average Joe can sit there and utilize it, buy, trade it, and sell it. And it actually, for XR, some of them are being offered through PayPal now.
Yep.
So.
And Bank of America and others like that. A lot of global banks.
So as long as it's continued to back by the United States by the dollar bill, I think it's a good thing.
And I think that that's what's trying to happen. I think that the federal courts are trying to establish some sort of case law where they are essentially the first, or they push these currencies to adopt the US dollar. And, maybe that's part of the conspiracy. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's something that the economists have thought about. Maybe it's not, but that's a path that I went down.
So that I can better understand. You say that the standard is the US dollar when it comes to cryptocurrency, and also.
Well, no, it's the standard for crypto is there is no standard.
Well, not standard, but like it is backed.
It's not backed by anything. It's backed by user confidence.
Right.
Dollars used to be backed by gold.
Right.
Now the dollar is backed by consumer confidence in the United States. That says that what Dad was alluding to there at the beginning. But as after World War II, it's not just backed by the United States consumer confidence, it's backed by the global confidence in the dollar and our buying power.
Now, that standard? That standard is established by who, though? You said that
the World Bank.
The World Bank? Now, who controls the World Bank?
We do.
Yeah, we do. The United States does.
Yeah, it's in the United States.
Okay.
But no, but the crypto, and maybe I'm not sure if I'm differing from you, Michael, on this, but the cryptocurrency is backed by whatever. Think of it as a business.
Okay.
I'm buying your business, which is called crypto, for a certain amount of dollars. But your business, I could trade it for other businesses or other goods or services because I'm saying it's worth this much. It really is backed by the crypto is backed. It's like a stock. I can't explain it any other way. It's like a stock. It's the value of the. It's It's like a stock in a company. If your company was publicly traded on the stock market and it was worth, if it was worth, $1 million,
Yeah.
and you had, $5 million worth of shares out there, that's the value. That's what the customer believes the value of that your company's worth, $5 million. And each stock, if you had 5 million shares worth $1 each share's worth $1. That's how crypto works. It's you can trade those shares all day long to other people who think that the value is there. I could trade my crypto to anybody that think that the value is there.
Yeah, but everyone, that's the assumption that it's a currency, right? And the only
Well, it is called cryptocurrency.
Yeah, but for hundreds of years, our mind has worked in what can I buy with this money, right? And when you invested in crypto, you can't go out to the store and buy groceries with stocks, right? But there will be a time when you can go to the store and buy groceries with crypto.
What is
right?
that? What is honestly? And it sounds dumb, and this is like looking into the future. But what does that look like? Is it a card that's
Could be
connected to my
a
crypto?
card, could be Neuralink, right? You might just be able to blink at an ATM and get
It's digital.
Yeah, it's digital. And what Dad was saying, so finite, right? So you could partition your company into so many different pieces called your different kinds of stocks or priority and basic stocks and stuff like that. You could partition your company out to deflate the value, right? Based on the amount of stocks that are in existence. With crypto, on some of the coins, and I know that this isn't a class on crypto, but no, some of them are unrestricted, right? Some people say there are some people can come out and say, yes, this coin, there are only X amount of them in existence.
Like the founding members.
Yeah, like the founding members, guys. And if you don't know what that is, we offer up, there's a good plug there,
You
brother. ROCpodcastnation.com. Head over there, go to pledge your support, find out what a founding member is. There will only ever be 100. Once one drops off, it never fills back up.
There's only 95 spots left.
Only 95 spots left, guys. For $25 a month, you could buy into that. You get so much merch, but even more importantly,
do guests get free founding member privileges?
you got dinner. you got dinner, didn't you?
Yeah.
No, but you get entered for 20. I mean, just think about it like this, Ryan. We're doing a gun giveaway once we hit 100 founding members. You're going to get an AR-15, customized AR-15 and a customized Glock for $25. You're buying basically a 1 in 100 raffle ticket to win 2 awesome firearms. And then every month after that, you're going to be entered into a similar drawing to win another firearm. I mean, even at that cost alone, it's beneficial to you. But guys, yes, there are only so many of those in existence. There are only 100 of them. Just like with Bitcoin, there's only so many. So you can't parse the company out so much where you start to see diminishing returns on the value of a stock. But to answer your question, I think we're going down a rabbit hole. Rock Nation, if you've held on this long, congratulations.
Thank you.
But at the end of the day, you have to use real dollars to buy into crypto, right? Like money has to be dollars or yen or pounds or whatever.
And you're going through an exchange just like you would be if you were buying a stock.
Right. Yep. And then you have to buy into it, and then you own that coin, and then that coin can change value over time.
So is this crypto? Because I apologize that we're keeping going in this rabbit hole, but I want to learn. I don't know much about this shit. So is crypto a company? Is crypto like a government agency? Like who controls this shit? Is this a business that we're investing kind of into? What is this?
Well, it started off with Bitcoin, and this is what's interesting, is nobody knows who invented Bitcoin. Some people have some hypothesis as to who it might be, but nobody knows. It just existed. And really what it is, all right, let me break it down Barney style for you, like we're in the core or something like that, right? Imagine you got some very important information. And when you look at it, it all kind of lines up a certain way, right? Like there's little hashing marks on top of each other. Right? Now, if I wanted to take that apart, ship it across the planet in different pieces and be able to put it back together again, that's called hashing. And to do that, you use blockchain technology. All right? And that is how you securely transmit data or information around the planet. All right? So imagine taking a puzzle apart, shipping it all around the planet, and then instantaneously it arrives back together in the same form. That's blockchain technology. That's what crypto is. You can't do that with the paper dollar bill. And in order to get that dollar bill across the planet, it takes days. And even if you do digital currency, not crypto, but digital, where you're doing it all through teller transactions in a computer using a dollar, it still takes days, right? And then at some point, your dollars become untraceable, right? Look at how many millions of dollars are being smuggled down into Mexico and other countries, right? You just have no trace of what's going on with that money. With crypto, you know exactly where that money is at all times. 1,000% of the time, that's a made up number, but 100% of the time, you know where that money is. And then you could trace everywhere it's ever been. So in some ways, there is some privacy that you sacrifice by holding crypto, because you could always be found out who owns it, right? But you could also figure out where it came from. So initially, a lot of the skeptics said that crypto, a large portion of crypto was being used in child trafficking or purchasing and trafficking drugs and different stuff like that. Because
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yeah, Epstein didn't kill himself, right? You were able to use this cryptocurrency to do a lot of back alley shit because it was hidden.
So I don't know, Mike. Maybe I'm off base here, but you asked who owns it.
Yes, I don't know.
So there are companies, XRP, Ripple.
Ripple owns XR. Well, Ripple, it's a dirty mess. Yeah.
Well, I would say there are developers of these digital transfers, Coinbase or what did you call it?
Uphold is one.
Yeah. There are developers of this crypto that were able to do the hashing that you talked about. That and the speeds that they were able to attain is incredible. But those developers are the ones that I'm gonna say I'm not sure you would say they owned it, but they established it. Okay, and they have made money off the sale of their technology that is used to process.
There's a processing fee.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
There's
PayPal.
electronic. Exactly. So if I buy it, like a stock, right? If you have a broker, right? There's a brokerage fee if you go out and buy stock. If you deal in crypto, there is a transactional fee.
So now that you're breaking it down that way, what is the difference between that and PayPal? Because I use PayPal, so I understand
PayPal's going to crypto.
Yeah, PayPal's going to crypto, but right now PayPal uses dollars. Your PayPal account is linked to your bank account. Your bank account uses dollar bills.
If you pull up PayPal, your homepage right now, there'll be an advertisement on there for crypto.
So this is why. All right, so XRP does have a shit ton of utility, and it has been adopted by a lot of the global banks around the planet and different credit cards and stuff like that. But what the lawsuit really is, and now that I'm looking into it, it kind of makes a little bit more sense, was I think the guy that we know that was trading this stuff pretty heavily, Dad, he was saying that XRP, when they released the coin, they hoarded a whole bunch of them to themselves, that they were going to release
half of it,
right?
Yeah, there was supposed to be a billion released or a million.
There was
a billion released, and they've only released 500 billion.
It sold more than $1 billion of the virtual tokens, right? Of the world's third largest cryptocurrency without registering with the SEC, sorry. But what essentially happened was they conflated the value. Right. Yep. They allowed all of those coins to take organic growth, right, based on utility, which isn't, I mean, it's
because the more you release, the lower the value. So you control the release just like you do a stock.
Yeah. So they released a whole bunch of these. They released a whole bunch of these coins out there, and the value started to grow because other companies and countries realized the utility of it, while they're holding on to half of it, and having inherent gains based on it's analog coin that's in existence. Right. So I can see why the SEC is getting sketchy over this. But yeah, Ryan, we could do a whole nother show on crypto, guys. I didn't mean to take it that way. Let's try to bring it back here. But what I was saying, Dad, earlier while I was taking that right turn to talk about crypto a little bit, I really do wonder. I wonder if like the crackdown on crypto, not just this past year, not in December 2020 when the lawsuit was levied against Ripple, but if you go back 10 years or whatever, everybody, it's been in the Senate countless times talking about how do we regulate crypto, right? You had all these wallets, all these virtual agencies that were crypto traders that were closed down because they didn't meet SEC sanctions, right?
Right.
Do you think that there's some conspiracy at work there by the United States steering group, if you will, that is saying that we're going to do everything we can to throttle crypto as much as possible so that our decision makers that control the inflation and the wages and the CPI and the freaking GDP and the national debt, crypto can't touch that.
Oh, definitely. I definitely believe that there are those that are out there today, employed in some way by our government that are trying to figure out a way to benefit from this. And they already are. If you're controlling it by the SEC, what is this? Security and Exchange Commission, right?
Right.
And that's a federal agency, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, isn't there a big building up in DC that says SEC on it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, sure. They're figuring out how can we control it and for the betterment of the US.
So it makes you wonder, like, what if these were kind of global or satellite type companies that weren't based in the United States? I wonder if the United States could still call them. I mean, because I don't think any of them are asking to be traded like on in the indexes, the major indexes, right? I don't think they are. I think that they want to be independent of like the Dow Jones Industrial Average or the S&P and all that other stuff, right? I think that they want to be removed from Wall Street. You know, if you go back in time to 2008, Dad, what did the banks do? They crushed the economy, right? With the subprime mortgage bubble, all that shit. And that's when crypto came about. Here's an alternative to your dollars. Here's an alternative to all of that other stuff.
They can call it whatever they want to call it. Main Street, Wall Street, whatever street they want to call it. Wall Street's a joke. Let's be real. You know, you look at the news or whatever you want to look at, and you got the guy ringing the bell, and you got all those people standing around making trades. Come on. That might be 1% of the trades that are being made in any given day. That's just the figurehead.
Right.
You know, crypto, there's regulations are going to be in place that control it.
Why? Why though?
Well, because
to protect so what the SEC does is it's supposed to protect the investor, right?
Not only, there's taxation that's going to be levied on all that. Just think if you bought goods and services and never paid taxes on it because it wasn't transacted in dollar bills.
Yeah, it would weaken the United States economy. They're dollars, wouldn't it?
I want to go buy a $1 million house with my 10 Bitcoins.
Yeah.
I don't have to pay any tax on that,
right.
or my car or whatever.
So that's why the government, that's what it is, right? The government's trying to get their greedy little hands on all of this stuff. I know that it affects us too.
We are the government, Michael.
When it comes to that, yeah. Sure. When it comes to, Dad, you and I both got the 401k rocking, right? And what happens on Wall Street is important to us, right? We want dollars in the market. We do, right? Well, at least I do, because shit, I still got a long way to go until retirement. You got a couple years and then you're pulling out. But like I wish. Why? Like, why does the government always got to take something like noble and screw it up? You know what I'm saying? Like, I get that they want to get their greedy little hands in this so that they could attach. Again, it ties back into what you were saying, right? About controlling the money and shaping the universe, if you will, with the dollar.
Yeah.
If after 2008, after all of the confidence in the banks, which was very short-lived because we had the big bailouts. We paid all the big banks, all their big money. They never repaid any of that. You remember that, right? And now it's like, a bunch of smart people in Silicon Valley came up with this way to rapidly transmit money around the country based on, this technology. And the government said, nope, we're not going to let you play in that playground. It's got to come through the SEC first. And I don't know why, but it's something I'm going to be keeping an eye on. Yeah,
well, I think it's, for us at this table and for those out in the audience, if you're smart enough and good enough and watch it, there's a way to make money off of it.
Oh, yeah.
So, either watch the train go by or get on it, because it is going to go.
Man, I've been so hesitant, though. I've been so hesitant.
So have I.
Yeah, I've been so hesitant. There were times, Dad, where you could dump $10,000 in it, and then a week later pull out $50,000.
So the person that we both mutually are talking about asked us to invest in this when it was 13.5 cents early last year. Yesterday it went over $1.10. Yeah.
That's big money.
Oh, 100%.
Do you think this is a fad though? I don't know.
No, because it does have utility. It is usable. It's technology that can be adopted. I still don't, I'm not smart enough, Ryan. I'm not an economist or a Bitcoin expert, or I'm sorry, a cryptocurrency expert enough to be able to explain it to you like perfectly. But as long as there is a utility, as long as there is value, what they've done here in engineering school, what they tell you is if you invent a better version of the mousetrap, you've still made an invention, right? It's still a mousetrap. It's still money, right? It's still dollars.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's just called something different. It's a better version of the mousetrap. And global economies have identified this is a better mousetrap. We're going to adopt this. All of our foreign currency exchange is going to be done using this currency. So it's never going away. In fact, it's only going to become more and more and more integrated into our life.
So with that being said, is like the traditional way of stocks and all that stuff, is that going to be faded out, you think?
No, I think that at one point you may end up buying your stocks with crypto.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't think it could replace stocks?
No, because stocks is value in a company. Crypto is the currency you use to buy a portion of that value of that company. So if you wanted to go buy a stock for Tesla right now, I think last I checked, there were almost $30,000 a share, which is ridiculous. That's another story. On Josh's 15th birthday, Dad, I told him, I said, look, if you take $100 and you buy a Tesla stock right now, on his 16th birthday, we went back and looked at it. The stock was over $12,000. He would have made.
How much was it when he?
I would have to pull it up, but it's interesting how fast that stuff happens. So Ryan, what I'm saying is if you're investing in Tesla when you buy a Tesla stock, how you buy that stock is what we're talking about. Either you're buying it with a dollar bill or you're buying it with a portion of a coin. And that's the difference. It's a currency, right? Back in the day, we used to trade seashells, right? And then we started trading precious metals. And then we started trading in the idea of money, which is what the currency is today, right? It's backed by confidence in the buying power and the resilience of the United States. And in the future, it may be crypto. Yeah. In fact, I believe it's going to be. I think
that 9mm ammo.
Oh my God. You remember when frickin' 22 shells went over the roof, man?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But, not shells, 22 rounds. Sorry. But, yeah, I mean, look at technology, right? The government just experienced this massive experiment with having people work from home. All of these other companies like Zoom and the stock of all this other stuff, all these different streaming things went through the roof because we've understood now that we could live in our caves and never have to leave. You have distributed deliveries like Amazon. They're doing groceries now. All these other things we're trying to, at some point, there's not going to be a need for the paper dollar anymore. Even on your phone right now, you got an Apple, right? You can pull it out, bloop, you can pay at the thingy. You don't even need to pull your card out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at some point, the coins and dollar bills are going to be gone, and it's all going to be replaced with a digital currency.
Do you think the cash will always be king? Because it's definitely king right now.
Dude, I can't.
No, I do not think so. I think that you think cash is king right now.
Do you think it's king right now?
Only for people that don't want to pay taxes.
That's right. Like Ryan, if I came up to your sales counter at one of your PTPgun.com events and wanted to buy a shirt, I think you're selling shirts for, if cash is $20, if it's card is $25, right? Something like that, because you avoid the fees. You know what I'm saying?
It's transaction fees.
He not only that though.
4%.
I mean, he all claims that stuff at the end of the year.
Yeah, I know. Everyone knows he does. He's smart about it.
Oh yeah,
claim all my shit.
But you know what I'm saying, right? It's
sure you do.
To me, cash has almost become an inconvenience. Oh, I've called him out on it. This guy spent the stimulus money to buy guns that he's going to use.
Hey, yeah, they stimulated my pocket. I stimulated a local gun shop.
Like owning a vending machine, right? That's a business to get into.
Oh yeah, it is. I wish I would have gotten into that.
We know a person that owns a bit.
Oh yeah,
but he got out of it. I imagine if it was that profitable, he wouldn't have got out.
Yeah,
it's a sustaining business, but I don't think I'm not jumping ship to get into vending machines.
We could do a whole other episode on things that
to your question,
profitable.
is cash king? I think eventually and you can even go down some rabbit holes here, can you? Religiously. Eventually, we're all going to have a freaking barcode on our hand that we're just going to go.
So,
hey,
some places already
sorry.
have that. They already have. Some places have a microchip and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a business.
Yeah, I'll insert a microchip, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's
And
insert
Gets you in the doors and shit.
once we get
Yeah.
you used to
RFID.
once we get you used to taking vaccines. Next thing's up here. We'll just implant a little chip with it, and now we know that you've got your vaccine passport and you're ready to go.
Some might
Yeah.
say there's already a RFID in those vaccines. That's how they got you.
But
already.
no, to answer your question, cash is king. I don't think so, man. You know, already in my life, cash is an inconvenience. You know what I'm saying? Like it's nice to have some what old people in my life used to call walking around money, right? It's nice to have some walking around money in your pocket. But like today, I went to the barbershop and I had to pull money out of the ATM to pay him because they only take cash. You know, I don't ever have
Our
cash
old
on
boy
me.
up in Charlotte Hall, he only takes cash.
Yeah. Cash is king.
Well, there's other reasons too, right?
Yeah. I wish 99% of my business comes through electronic means. People pay for my classes and merchandise on my website.
Oh yeah,
Days,
yeah,
weeks,
yeah.
months in advance. I've got a full classes weekend, and
Well,
some
I
so why
get you,
don't-
Ryan.
so-
There's no fingers pointed here.
Yeah, why don't you set up ptpgun.com to receive
Crypto.
cryptocurrency? Then you could avoid all that other mess.
I'm open to it and stuff. I'll have to see. Seriously, I'm open to it. I mean, I definitely want to pick y'all's brains and the other person's brain more to learn more about it.
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah.
open to anything. I mean, anything that puts money in my pocket. I don't know how to pros. You know, I have like on my website, I used to have just PayPal, but now I have PayPal and Square or whatever. Hey, whatever way you want to pay me, I don't give a shit.
Hey guys, this has been one hell of an episode. We went down a few rabbit holes here. What I guess the message is here is start watching, right? You know, start watching the dollar, watch what happens there, because there's no real reason to pump $6 trillion back into the economy. You know, I pulled up some quick numbers here. The national debt under Bill Clinton was only $7 trillion, and we've just pumped nearly that back into the economy to stimulate, just to spend. It's not the
To
infrastructure bill. It's not the infrastructure bill. Or I'm sorry, it's not the gun control bill disguised as an infrastructure bill. It's not that. It's none of that kind of spending. It's just money. Get money out there to people. Start
That
spending.
they can't even spend it. There's so much of it that it's going to take them years. They can't even spend it. They didn't spend the last part. There's $500 billion still sitting there. It's not even spent.
yeah. Well,
Look at the
freaking,
Walmart TV section. That's been spent pretty good. though.
Jeez. Oh, look at Manchin, right, from West Virginia. You know, he's pig-eared, you know, some money in there, you know, to stimulate West Virginia over the next 5 years in the latest bill. He was the swing vote.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
those politicians, guys. We said it before. We'll say it again, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, listening to us over here at Rock Podcast Nation. Without you, there is no us. Make sure you're doing your part to help us get the message out there, guys. I mean, we're asking man to man here, man to woman. Hit that share button. Let people know that you're listening to Right of Center. Let people know that there are good people out here going to bat for you guys and trying to talk about the stuff that nobody else is talking about. With that, Dad, Mike Bell Sr., thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been an honor.
Been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We look forward to having you come back on the show.
Quick 30-second bit from my ass. So I know
Get it out there, bub.
Everybody says it, we say it, but there's a reason behind it. I'm telling you. Take a moment, please. Take a moment, hit that share button, comment below, let us know what you're thinking, good, bad, or indifferent. If you hate this shit, if you like this shit, if you want to hear more from the old guy, whatever you want to do, that everything helps. The thumbs up, the shares, all that stuff helps. Do that for us. We greatly appreciate it.
That's right, guys. And with that, we're out here. Deuces.
Stay strapped, get clapped.